Council. We are exposing the Chinese government for its complicity in genocide, and we are calling for the Chinese government to use its influence to end the genocide rather than perpetuate it. And so we have gathered here today to physically chain China to its partner in genocide, and to hold both the Chinese and Sudanese governments accountable for the first genocide of the 21st century.
Everyone, thanks so much for coming. Our first speakers today will be three dear friends of mine and incredible activists. All of them have amazing stories to tell you. Their names are rallied, and Simon Dang.
I became involved in this movement after being influenced by an artist's representation of what's happening in Darfur. I was then compelled to understand what fueled her passion. After much investigation, the unintended suffering in Darfur has consumed me. It is astounding that a crisis so dire continues to be overlooked and rejected, undermining the dignity of people not so different from ourselves. Darfur has been forced to compete. It has been forced to compete with our comfort, advertisements, pop culture, our distractions, political priorities, our physical and conceptual distance, but there's a universal quality in human suffering in which we must act in accordance. There's a great power in representation through visual media that helps bring ourselves closer to the people of Darfur. Salgado said that we should not hesitate to continue to show photographs of the genocide in Rwanda so that such atrocities are never repeated. It is vital that everyone sees them and recognizes themselves, otherwise the human species, which is both responsible for and the victim of these horrors, may one day disappear completely.
My name is rallied. As she said, I'm a student from NYU. I'm the co-president of our STAND chapter there. And it's really an honor to speak to everyone here today. It reminds me of a time 2 years ago, actually, when I was just outside of Lublin in Poland, in the concentration camp of Majdanek, where I was joined on this trip known as the March of the Living. I was joined by tens of thousands of Jews from all four corners of the globe as we went to the concentration camp of Majdanek to bear witness to the Holocaust. And the difference is that while we were there, when we stood around this monstrous pit of ashes after touring the gas chambers and after touring the crematoria, we looked into the distance and we could see the cities, we could see the villages, the Polish villages that looked over these camps and saw and witnessed what was going on and did nothing. But how can we condemn them for doing nothing when they were under Nazi occupation? And here today, the world is flat. We have the power to act, and that's the thing is today we are going to be acting and creating a human chain to, as Sabina said, create the physical link between the Chinese government and their efforts in aiding and abetting the genocide in Darfur. So today, we're calling upon New York City, we're calling upon the state of New York to use its multi-billion-dollar pension fund to take our money out of the Sudanese government. Thank you very much. I now have the pleasure of introducing to you a personal hero of mine and an incredible human being with an incredible story which we will share with you. Without further ado, Simon Dang.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for your participations. Thank you for registering your voice. Thank you for taking a stand. And thank you for being a human being for the human beings. My name is Simon Dang. I'm from Sudan. I'm a Shulubai tribe and I'm a Christian. For the simple reason because everybody in Sudan belongs to a tribe. What is happening in the country of Sudan today, it is not something new to us, we the Sudanese, but it is something new to you people in the West and people in the worldwide. But also, it is not something new to the world body, which is the United Nations. A year ago, we stand in these grounds where we turn our back to the UN because the UN failed miserably. And we walk from here to Washington, D.C. And when we arrived in our nation capitals, because we were lobbying that our government have to take action because the UN failed. And yes, there was a bill in the House was there for 13 months. And by the day when we arrived in Washington, D.C., during the rally, members of the Congress, they will always come and tell us we are going to vote. And that bill was passed that day, which is known Darfur Peace and Accountability. And the result for it, it has to go to you, because it was you who stood with me. It was you who gave me the support. It was you who gave me the moral support by what we did in the work. And believe me or not, I was joined by thousands, youngs, olds, and most important, people of your age. Today, you are making a very strong statement to the world that you are not going to be bystander, especially when the United Nations failed not to stand up for their moral obligations, which the UN stands for. You today, you're telling the world that to take actions is not being measured by age, it is measured by your concerns. And what you're present today telling the world that you are part of the solution, because long ago the world made a big mistake when everybody assumed that it's not on my back here, and then in the end the result was terrifying. And we know that goes back to Armenian genocide, and goes back to evil Hitler, and goes back to Pol Pot, and also Rwanda. Rwanda happened in front of everybody's eyes. Probably most of you was not witnessing. In 90 days, almost 1 million people was slaughtered because the world did nothing, and the United Nations itself did gatherings, all the Rwandese, for the safety where the UN was there to protect them, and then everybody was there, and then the UN turned their backs, and then in 90 days, every single one who went there in the hands of the UN to be protected, all of them perished. Against and against. And then all of us become terrified, and today we say that we are not going to be bystander. Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a world which is coming together as one society. And today, by you being here, you're making a very strong statement, because you are the seeds, the future, the leaders of this world tomorrow. And what you're doing here today, you have to be proud of yourself. By saying that you're doing your part, in which you will find a solution tomorrow, you will look back and say that I did my part. What you're doing today, it looks like very small things, but believe me or not, you're doing that what's supposed to be done by the world during the Holocaust. But the world did nothing. But today you're telling the world that we are not going to be bystander. We're taking actions, and we're standing up. What you're doing today is something by itself. It is to make a statement to some of those who are not here today with us. You're looking at 3 individuals behind me. We walk from Brussels to The Hague. And because of that work, today, the International Criminal Court did indict the perpetrator in Sudan. And believe me or not, the action that you're taking today, it will save one life tomorrow, and you have to be proud of yourself. And thank you very much.